Thanks for staying tuned. Of course, it's the concluding part of Rise and Shine this Tuesday morning. And like we said, great conversation. It's great to have the NLC chairman of Kwabam State Chapter, Comrade Sonny James, live in the studio. It's not every day that you bring a great man out of his bed early in the morning to come and answer questions of what is happening to the collective wealth of Nigerians. Good morning, Comrade Sonny James. Good to have you on Rise and Shine this morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Francis. Good morning, everyone. Akwa Ibom people, it's a good time that we are here together discussing beauty, discussing our comfort, discussing our unity, discussing our favors.
Our favors, right. I should say Happy New Year to you. I hope 2024 was good for NLC in Akwa Ibom State.
Yeah, 2024 was good for all of us because it came with the challenges and you pick which one is good for you. And then we also allowed the one that was not good enough. We tried to pray and then look for a way of making amends so that 2025 will be better than 2024. And for whatever comes your way on a daily basis, give God the glory and try to make sure that the following day might not be compared in negativity as to the one that have just passed. 2024, a great year. We may not have it again, but 2025, greater than all others.
What are some of the successes you would say that NLC in Akwa Ibom State achieved in 2024 for the workforce in Akwa Ibom?
Yeah, for anyone who is a leader of the organized labor and might be interesting in counting its benefit, you first of all will acknowledge the fact that you are working with people, you are working with the governor. If the governor, for any reason, refuses to, for any reason, give you consent and you sit down and then agree on a number of issues affecting the welfare of people, you may work in vain, you may fight so much. But for Akwa Ibom State, we have also been lucky enough of very recent to have a governor that listens to us. I say so with all sense of sincerity and emphasis because some of the issues that we solved together with His Excellency the governor were issues that had been long reserved by other governors. Let me take, for instance, the issue of the pensions, which he has continuously paid without fail along with the salaries. And then we now are able to, when people are talking about pension and gratuity, you don't know. For me, in Akwa Ibom, I have to separate the two because we have a seamless pension scheme in Akwa Ibom that so many of the people are having their pension as at when due, almost about the same day with the salaries, and then pensioners are getting better to have their salaries after work. Because when you use the word pension, people also understand that pension is the salary of that person while out of his work to still sustain himself. For the gratuity is one item that was so worrisome in all stations. I found myself in 1999 when I came newly. 2019, I beg your pardon. When I came newly, it would be my gratuity, my mother's gratuity, and all that. But as we speak today, we have received the promise of His Excellency the Governor to continuously defray this entitlement. The only thing that we are asking right now is, we are doing it, but increase the functum, increase the amount that is being given in that direction. For us, we achieve a lot in that direction by ensuring that the Governor give more and more, and we appreciated him for doing that for the people. The area that also was very concerned to all of us was the issue of the minimum wage. The minimum wage was so troublesome, and then but it ended well because we have an agreement. We may not have received it in our pocket, but we are able to understand where it starts, which is going to be the first day of November 2024, and the workers of Akwa Ibom State are so expectant to get the minimum wage arrears for November paid in the month of January, the arrears of December paid in the month of February, and then we continue in that manner. For us in the organized labor, it's difficult to do the job that some of us are doing. Being in the midst of misunderstanding the workers, and then the government also misunderstanding you, and then at every time you need to make sure that you put the record straight. We are doing it perfectly, and we continue to do that and justice to it. In 2024, we also realized that His Excellency the Governor graciously gave out 150 housing units to Akwa Ibom people who are in level 1 to level 8. Of course, that housing estate was built for the purposes of selling it to the public. But when on completion, no leader, no worker would have expected that would have been given to the workers free of charge. But His Excellency did that at the end, and the junior workers, junior cadre worker who cannot afford 5 million naira for that building was given 2-bedroom flat for free. And then we do not in the NLC take that for granted. Then there was also this issue that we talking about the health insurance scheme that a lot of other governors are running away from. The governor took time to ensure that he went ahead to give us the level 1 to 6 again, who may not have been able to have good access to health, and then gave them for free, at least for the one year premium, meaning that the whole of 2025, as you get yourself enrolled in the scheme, you will be having free treatment and your 4 children for free in the government-approved hospitals for the next 1 year. And then also that scheme to have taken place in Akwa Ibom, the takeoff is also a process, and therefore for the governor who has assumed that we should start the scheme in Akwa Ibom said it's applaudable. Those are all efforts we discussed at the backyard, and before people will see it coming it on stream, the governor also gave it that we will begin the scheme. This scheme hangs a lot on the government financing the part of it in line with the law. The worker is expected to pay 5% of your basic salary into the contribution of that scheme, while the government will pay 10%. It means that if you are paying 1,000, the government is permitted to pay 2,000 to add up to 3,000 to give you treatment. People will be asking, what is the amount of money that is going to be paid to the scheme? 5%. If you calculate a level 4 officer whose basic salary is 15,000 naira, the 5% of that person's money is less than 1,000. Less than 1,000. So, and therefore, if that person pays about 1,000 naira, the government is permitted to pay 2,000 naira and add up to the person for the treatment of that person. Well, is that enough to buy paracetamol? No. But when it is done in a pool manner, in an insurance manner, where all the money is pooled somewhere, it will make sense that all the civil servants in the state pool their money at the same time. Some may not even be sick. I remember the last time I saw your colleague here, Frank, in the hospital, more like 5 years ago. So if he was to be a civil servant, he will not even be paying. So if you are not paying, if you are not going to the hospital, you don't access the health because God has given you divine health, it's only proper that those who, maybe not fault of theirs, have the privilege of going to the hospital, then they will also have access to the finances that you have contributed. So that's the beauty about the health insurance. And therefore, for us in the NLC, when we saw the advantages that is associated with it, we gave it to it, and then we expect the government to make their counterpart funding, because that's always the important thing, that the scheme may fail if nothing is done and on time. Then we now come to talk about the dynamics of 2024 itself. What are the dynamics I'm talking about? 2024 on its own had its own challenges. It's the challenges of the workers waking up to see federal government policies that will be translated to the subnationals, which Akwa Ibom State is a member. How will you wake up in the morning and say subsidy is gone? From the time subsidy is gone, the country has been in challenges for the last 2 years. And therefore, those challenges must be managed by people at the state level. And therefore, those are the challenges that the NLC will always join forces to say, how do we do it? How do we do it so that people can, of course, get the maximum benefit of all these policies? First, subsidy is gone. The prices have gone up. Thank God for Dangote refinery that came up. And it seems to be having some respite and then giving us some hope that something good might be happening in the coming years and then in the coming months. We came in at 1,600 at some point a couple of months ago. And then for now, we're talking about 1,000. And there are also effort that is going down more than that. That might be the dividend of the monopoly that NNPCL have already put in the system. That may be an advantage that has also been the effect of it on the workers and citizens is what concerns me, not the policy. Because you see that the workers have really suffered because of those policies. Whatever was given to us as 70,000 minimum, it doesn't make sense any longer. That's why you hear the NLC now talking about increasing it or going back to the table. Because it is very clear that whatever was given us as 70,000 naira, of course, after the consequential negotiations, it went to 77,500. For those who might not know that, the salaries paid to federal workers in Nigeria is not 70,000, it is 77,500 after the consequentials where adjustment was done. by the National Salaries and Wages Commission. That is what the actual thing a level 1 officer is taking. Because if you pick the salary table, you will see that it is 930,000 naira per annum. So if you divide 930,000 naira per annum, you say that it is 77,500. So that is the salary of a level 1 officer. For Akwa Ibom State, the governor in his own said, okay, I'm going to pay 80,000, meaning additional 2,500. For people who might not know that it is not 10,000, that the way they talked, that the governor is paying 80 and that was 70,000. No. The actual thing that has been added is 2,500 to make it 80,000. So if you now look at 80,000 naira for a level 1 officer in Akwa Ibom, it is only appropriate that you look at the percentage increases, which is 141.6%, and then add up in across the board to everybody. That's also why the minimum wage Akwa Ibom said is better than for those who say, I will stick to 70,000. For whoever says, I'm going to stick to 70,000 naira, is not going to pay, except the union leaders in those states will take the right step to use the right consequential calculations to still take their member to 77,500. Anything other than that, you have cheated your workers in your state. But for us in Akwa Ibom, the governor was far-reaching enough to now say that, I wouldn't pay that, let me take it to 80, which is what we are applauding him at the moment. The River State governor said, no, I will pay my own 85. That means that whatever we get, they will get 5,000 above us. And then the Lagos State says, I'm paying 85. By January, I will take it to my own to 100. That was also in view. But for now, they're taking the 85. And then other states also joined Delta and said, no, I will adopt the federal percentage and table the way it is at 77,500. I will go with you and all that. So some said 80. Enugu, I gave it to Mba, of course, in the southeast, trying to show leadership and then giving 80 to their people and all that that has happened. But so far, so good. 2024 was good. We were better off in Akwa Ibom because with these listening positions of His Excellency the Governor, looking at issues that we were really backward and then trying to bring us to speed to date. I think those things are also attributed to the NLC because we had very serious conversations around those policies. There's one also issue that if you have any opportunity of entering a radio station or TV station, workers will ask is about the 7.5 contributory pension that was done in Akwa Ibom State without real policies and legal framework to continue the exercise. The NRC presented it to the governor. As soon as he came in, he understudied the matter and discovered that the government of Akwa Ibom State, during the time of Dr. Gospel Agbabio, has taken all that was the government side in that contribution. Don't forget, it was a contributory pension scheme. And then government put 7.5, workers put 7.5. Government put their own, take out their own from the scheme one day, while our own was supposed to be refunded to everybody that contributed. In the process of contribution, there's no again saying the fact that a lot of waters had crossed under the bridge within that time, because some of the MDS might not have returned all in full to the government. The government had made provision that it should be returned to the people. But we wonder why people, particularly in the primary school sector and some school system, Afaransa and a lot of them, were not given their own refunds. From 2013 till date, we have several governors. We've talked on the matter, we've conversed around the matter, but this governor has taken it seriously, and he has given approval that is going to be paid in this January for all the people that were owed the money. And the total sum was about 2.6 billion. And I think it's very clear that we have an understanding. We have a directive of His Excellency the Governor that the process be carried out in this month of January. So those are all the things that we feel that a lot of things had happened, and then people might not be aware that we are making progress. We are not where we used to be. The minimum wage was not without struggle. No governor will just say, and give, this is what I'm giving to you. They all had minimum wage started in Nigeria in the month of August. But you can see that the governors forum, it's like they had their own meeting and agree on when they will pay their money and say, no, I will not pay August. I give it to Lagos State and Delta State. They started the same August. Then I bet all other governors went on meeting, including our own state governor. They had on meeting and we are not going to start in August. And then in their meeting, and then they started, most of them started September. In our own state here, the governor said I will give in December.
And there's no way for the NLC to demand that it starts in August?
Yeah, but there is, you look at the situations of the country. That's what I'm saying. The governors forum will take advantage of every situation that they have found themselves. And therefore, it was discussed in their governors forum meeting. where Mr. President was there and directed that in the month of October, anybody who did not do it in September, there was also challenges in September to really know exactly what the minimum wage amounts to. Let the federal workers have 1 or 2 months and let us see how we can implement it and the directive that will come to the state level. That was why you see the NLC saying, okay, beginning from October, let it be that we have given directive. If you don't pay by November ending, then you are going to declare strike in your state. So it was only unfortunate that Akwa Ibom State belonged to such a group. We can never belong to the group like Zamfara, who just paid his own two years ago. 2019 minimum wage was only paid in Zamfara less than a year ago. And then you are putting us in Katsina and then Ebonyi State. You can't put us in such a class. We have our own class. When you are talking about state in the country, you talk about Lagos, you talk about rivers, Akwa Ibom, Delta, Bayelsa. And these are the core oil-producing states. And Lagos only come in because of its internally generated revenue. And therefore, if you now want to take Akwa Ibom, you can't put it with for somebody in secondary school. You are dragging the person to go to primary school. It's not. We were not comfortable about dragging us to primary school. That is all that you saw as differences during that era. The 14th state defaulted in the month of November not implementing. Akwa Ibom happened to be one of them. And we said, no, it's not correct. Why don't we have our effective date? Effective date was very correct. His Excellency said, no, I'm going to carry out verification. Let me understand what I'm paying. Are we against that? No. All what the organized labor inquiry said was that the timing was very wrong. But if we must do it, why don't we do it side by side? Let people get their salaries in December in a new rate, while you also will do your verification.
But so far so good with verification. Where are we on verification?
Yeah, very, it's a nice question because the governor, for those who were in the Carol night during the December festivities, at that point of the Carol night, the discussions had broken down because we didn't get effective date properly spelled out. And we also, in the course of that discussion, recall that the NLC had given the first kind of communique trade to go on strike. Yeah. To have effective date, we must have effective date. So when we had the effective date, the governor said, I want to pay from December. We said, no, let us go backward because the thing started in August. It's okay if I give you November 1 as effective date, I will not give you 13 months. We say you can take 13 months. Very clear, you can take 13 months. 13 months is not written anywhere, it's not compulsory. If it's your prerogative to give, you can take it if you don't want to give to us. Because we did not even compel you in the first place to give you 13 months. It's not a matter of rights. And therefore, for a level 4 officer in Akwa Ibom State who has 34,000 naira as a take home net, and then you also have 15,000 naira as 13 months. Then in a new minimum wage, you will have about 100,000. So 34 plus 15 is 49. So, but if you give him a new minimum wage, he has about 100,000. So why don't you give him 100,000 and take your 13 months? That is the calculation, very simple thing. And therefore, there's also another advantage in the effective date going backward. One of the advantages is that if you are retiring in that month under reference, for instance, now you are retiring in November, whatever your calculation will be based on the new minimum wage rate because it's effective November 1. So those advantages, if you put it side by side with 13-month dangling of carrot and stick, I don't know, we take the one that we know is correct. And then for us in Akwa Ibom, we say, okay, take 13 months and give us the new minimum wage. The government side understood with us, signed an agreement. So whatever we do in December, we were only giving an understanding. We would have stood our ground and said we want it. But when we also realized at the meeting, at this time, it can never be myself taking decision. You have to do an enlarged meeting and put the pros and cons before the people and let them take their decision. The people say, okay, since the governor said he will not give us 13 months, let us leave it. But the governor now again, on the Carol night, as a father, said, for everybody that knows what a king is, you don't bring out a word that you cannot keep. That's why John the Baptist went. John the Baptist would have still been alive, maybe up till today. If the king did not say, whatever this child, this damsel requires of me, I will give it to him. And then the damsel was dancing. The king was just enjoying himself with the dance. But the child came with a very serious request. I need the head of John the Baptist. What will you do with it? But since the king have already said it, he had to release it. So as a king, you went to a church program and you said, I'm giving Akwa Ibom people a 13 months. It's only proper that you give it, or you go back to the church and say, I will not give again. Not on the roadside. So by these actions, it was very clear that the governor haven't looked at the fact that that was good enough to give it to back to the people. He said, okay, I'll give you the 13 months. I'll give you the old salary in the month of December. While your November and December arrears still stands. That becomes advantageous for the people. And we now had a moment and we say, okay, let us go with Excellency the Governor, who now has shown himself a father by keeping to his words. And then we follow the man, we give it to him, we clap him for him.
So we expect payments from this January.
No, it will. If you also had the second side of the statement of His Excellency, that organized labor are part of the verification. If they finish it and give me a report today, I'll pay tomorrow. I'll pay the next day. So if he had said such a thing, at the level of the organized labor, we took it as a challenge. This December this Jolota that just finished, I don't know what is called Christmas celebration. Because apart from 25th, 26th, and the 1st, all other days we worked. So we had to adjust the verification timetable that was hitherto supposed to finish on the 21st of January to bring it downward, collapse it into the year 2024 so that we can finish it and do a 3-day spillover. So that's exactly what we did. I give it everywhere to the Accountant General of the state. When he saw the pressure coming in and the reality of the fact that we must collapse and compress the verification exercise, the Accountant General went ahead to buy 6 new computer sets that is used for the tablet that is used for the verification. And then instead of 14, we now had 20. So 20 people verifying the workers at the same time collapsed the verification from 21st of January 2025 to the 30th of December 2024. So we now had 31st December, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, has a spillover for those who might have missed. So as we speak today, we finished the verification on Friday last week. So we are now at the process of putting up the report together with a view to presenting it to the governor and expecting his assent before his approval before 15, which is the cutoff date for every salary structure computation. And therefore, it will make no sense if we had suffered that way, did all that we did, and the new salaries is not paid in the month of January. It will not make sense. Okay. And I doubt if we will accept it.
Just in 60 seconds, because we're running out of time, maybe we'll have to bring the NLC chairman back anywhere else for other conversations that we have lined up. What are your projections as NLC for Akwa Ibom workers in 2025?
Yeah, 2025 is going to be a very great year for all the working people in Akwa Ibom State. The governor had given us 2 days that we use it for, that's it, 2 days in a month. That's the first Friday and then the last Friday, or the third Friday, that we go into agriculture. The law permits the civil servant to make sure that you use your hand gainfully in the farm to ensure that you support yourself and you support the families. I think in 2024, our expectation is that all those civil servants who have genuinely showed cause by having a farm or the other should be encouraged to make sure that whatever they do is sustained. It would not make sense for any reason that anything touches the non-implementation of the minimum wage. Like I said, emphatically that the minimum wage will be paid at the end of this month. I think it's also expectation that the workers are looking up to that their minimum wage will be paid, and while they do their arrangement. It is also very clear that the government of Akwa Ibom State have so many things in its coffers for the workers and citizens, that the area of transportation is also still a big concern. The CNG buses that we've always been talking about it on the drawing board, we feel that it should come out of it, and then let us have it on the ground where it will support the workers and other citizens to move from one point to the other. So those are expectations that I think it's very correct that we try to also work in the area that will make meaning in education. It's always very pathetic when we heard that some of the educational systems have been truncated one way or the other, especially the primary school system, the basics of everybody. I didn't go to a nursery school, I went to a primary school like every other person. But I think it's expected that we look again seriously in the area of primary school education, where we have seen that some schools are still sitting on the ground. The effort must be geared towards ensuring that the school system is made to work effectively. Akwa Ibom State University also is online to bring homegrown programs for Akwa Ibom indigenes, like law, architecture, and then the likes, humanities. They are intending to bring it in ASU. So it will be the encouragement of the Nigeria Labour Congress to His Excellency the Governor to look at the area that we can domesticate all these fine programs for our people. Medicine. Also, because we're struggling with the federal universities for our indigene, there should be a way of domesticating a school that we can call our own with the standard that we have now. I give it to them. They were 67 in rating, and right now they are 17th in rating. And then they are the fourth in the private sector schools private and state government-owned schools. And then in the South Side, they are second. So if we have that kind of record that is being set by Professor Sesien, it will only be proper that we encourage them to keep the records and let Akwa Ibom State indigents have where they can call their own and then get a better degree that they can competitively showcase in the labor market. Right. With that and many more, we are expecting that 2025 will be better than 2024 in a number of ways. And Akwa Ibom people, both the workers and citizens, will be good for it.
Great, great. It's been a great journey for the NLC in Akwa Ibom State. Great report that we've heard and great projections. Of course, we promised to bring back Comrade Sonny James to talk more about, you know, the reintroduction of conversations for minimum wage. We wish them all the best with the federal government and that. But thank you so much, NLC Chairman Akwa Ibom State, Comrade Sonny James, for your time on the show.
Always my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been an extended version. Thank you so much for being a part of the Tuesday morning conversation on Rise and Shine. This is where myself, Uyai MM, and Francis Edet draw the curtains on today's edition. Until we come your way again tomorrow, stay blessed and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye for now.